Welcome to the first of two candidates forums, or if you prefer, debates, on this, a Tuesday night, March 26, 2024, 6 days before the town of Plainville's annual town election. Our first candidates forum, showing live at 6:30 on our Plainville channel, is the one between the two candidates seeking a 3-year seat on the King Philip School Committee. Coming up at 7:15, the two candidates seeking the 3-year seat on the Select Board. Election Day is Monday, April 1st in the town of Plainville. Polls open at 7 a.m. They will close at 8 p.m. in the Public Safety Building behind Town Hall on South Street. North TV will be live from Town Hall that night, Monday night, April 1st, beginning at 8:15. We will have all of the results, not only in the contested races, but it's always interesting among the uncontested races, which candidate ends up with the most votes, kind of like a popularity contest. This is one of two specials we have produced in advance of that April 1st election. The first was a one-on-one with the candidates special. We had two of those, one of course for King Philip School Committee and the second for Select Board. Those and this candidates forum will run throughout the week leading up to the close of polls on election night on our Plainville channel, Comcast Channel 8, and you can also stream it on northtv.net. It's a free service to all Plainville residents. The first debate, as I mentioned, is the one between the two candidates seeking a seat on the King Philip School Committee. To my right, your left, is the incumbent in this race, Bruce Cates. And to my left, your right, you might recognize him from the Plainville School Committee. He's looking to move up a grade, we'll say, or certainly a building. Chris Brenneis. I called him Brenneis in the one-on-one interview. Now I know it's Chris Brenneis.
Close enough.
Close enough.
All right.
I'm sure it's mispronounced all the time. On the ballot, though, you're listed as Christopher, right? So
I believe so.
Don't look for Chris, look for Christopher. The way this will work is the two candidates will start out with opening statements. I will then ask the candidates 4 questions. The question will be the same for both candidates, and then they will close with, of course, closing statements. The order of everything we're doing tonight was determined by the flip of a coin, and it came up tails, which means Bruce Cates will deliver the first of the two opening statements. Bruce, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. So I am just now finishing my second term on the King Philip School Committee. So that's 6 years. I'm running again mainly for the continuity on the school committee. We have a lot of new things going on. We have a new superintendent, new high school principal, and some other changes that are coming. In the past, I have worked in various capacities for Plainville, in a volunteer capacity, being the chairman of the finance committee before getting on the school committee, and I was also the chairman of the charter committee at the same time. So it was a time of change, and we were able to navigate that change and improve things. So I'm looking to continue in my role on the King Philip School Committee and continue the great things that we do there.
Thank you, Bruce. The second opening statement will be delivered by Chris Brenneis.
All right, thank you. So I'm looking, as you heard, to take on a new position. So I was on the Plainville Elementary School Committee for the last 3 years, or a little bit over 3 years. I was appointed before I was then elected. So that term will end at this upcoming election, and I'm looking to get onto the King Philip School Committee. I have a son who's in 8th grade. He'll be moving on to 9th grade in the King Philip High School, and my daughter's senior who'll be moving on to college next year. So I'm engaged with the schools. I love the programs that they have there today. I also think that there's always room to strive for more. So I'd love to see, I'd love to work with Dr. Droulet, the school committee, on enhancing the classroom environment, making sure that we have the safest type of environment that we can have, and also we foster an environment for learning for students of all levels of learning and all backgrounds. So that's one thing that I think we can really drive policy around and make sure that that type of environment is enhanced in the KP school system. One big piece of that is also, how do you finance that, right? How do you get into delivering that to the school and to the students by working with the towns? So I think delivering a responsible budget is going to be a huge piece of that, as well as the policy piece. So.
Thank you. Our first question, and Chris, you will be the first to answer. First question. Residents in all three of the King Philip communities overwhelmingly approved the building of a new Tri-County Regional Vocational Technical High School. The $286 million price tag will certainly impact budgets in all three communities. Plainville, though, with the highest percentage of students attending, the third highest percentage of students attending Tri-County, will pay an estimated $500,000 more a year than Rentham will, and nearly $900,000 more a year than Norfolk to build the new high school. This is the question. Are you concerned the added expense will affect Plainville's ability to fund the King Philip School District without having to make cuts in other town departments? And how do you convince your peers from Norfolk and Rentham to take that into account?
All right, good question. Fair question for Plainville. So first, I think that Tri-County needed the new school system, or the new school built, and there are other communities also that are invested in Tri-County, so it's not just coming from the three schools that are the regional schools for King Philip. On the side for financing that between the three towns, or looking at it between the three towns, there is value for Plainville to send kids, or to have the opportunity to go into a program like that. I think it will be the same type of discipline required to look at what are the line items on each, in each area that the town has to look at, and look at the same thing for the schools. What can we do at each of those school systems, not to take away from the actual value, so the education, where can we look to reduce cost and leverage additional monies from other areas to offset that, because it will be an increase in the budget, and so we're going to have to look at how we can either increase revenue or streamline and make the school systems more efficient.
Bruce, same question, 90 seconds.
So Tri-County, my son goes to Tri-County, he's a sophomore there, and it is definitely needed. This project is desperately needed, so definitely support that. Both Plainville and KP now have a capital plan, for which we didn't have in the past, but we have created a capital plan, and we're taking that into account. So there are several ways for the town to fund the Tri-County project, as well as fund King Philip's budget and requirements as well. So I feel confident that we have a good plan going into the 5 years when the Tri-County starts. One thing we're introducing this year is a a stabilization fund for King Philip, and that's another mitigation effort, so that we can prepay for certain things. And so we are keeping everything in mind as we go forward, so that we can deliver the most responsible budgets for both the towns, and for the district.
Thank you. Question number 2, and Bruce, you will be the first to answer.
Okay.
Plainville is a beautiful community. It's not quite the Garden of Eden, however, and neither is King Philip. There must be something you would like to see improved. What improvements would you like to see implemented, and what can you as a school committee member from Plainville do to make that happen?
for beautification.
Just what improvements in the King Philip School District would you like to see?
Okay, well, we're student focused, and that's where we need to be. We need to continue delivering the highest quality education, and we do that at a very affordable price. And we're right now putting together a strategic plan, looking forward for the next several years, and that will be our roadmap to ensure that every single student, from the highest achievers to those who need the highest supports, get what they need and get the education that they deserve.
Chris, what improvements would you like to see implemented at King Philip, and what can you as a school committee member do to make that happen?
All right. So one of the things that that we did talk about that I would really drive to get implemented or to improve upon or introduce more of would be the certification type program. So EMT, phlebotomist, CNAs. I think that offers some career paths with certification coming straight out of high school that would be a benefit of a population of students that didn't necessarily go off to Tri-County or may not end up going off to Tri-County if we had these things in place, and have a better opportunity at getting a better paying job straight out of school if you're not on the track to go off to college. So that's one of the things that I'd really like to see as an improvement at KP. And as mentioned, the strategic plan, I think there'll be more things that come out from the data that's gathered from the parents and the community to see what do they really want. So I'd love to be part of that as well and drive that forward.
Thank you. Question number 3. I'm sure unless you've been living under a rock, you're aware of the controversy in North Attleboro about the book Woke, a Young Poet's Call to Justice being pulled off the shelves of an elementary school library after one single parent complained. What recommendation would you give to King Philip Superintendent Dr. Richard Droulet if a middle or high school parent had a similar complaint? And Chris, you are the first to answer.
All right. So I would recommend that that he talk with them, follow the process for vetting that book. The curriculum. So we did have in a situation where this has happened. A person came to a public meeting and discussed a certain section of a book that they deemed was inappropriate. School committee listened. We did go back. We took a look at what the whole picture of that book. There is a website. It's called Common Sense Media, and that gives a pretty broad perspective of a lot of different types of materials, what the experts say, what the parents say, and what kids actually who have read that say. What's the age level? What type of content is in there? I think that's a good gauge for looking at different things that are presented, and then following that process and having the school committee itself take a look at the material and then make a decision.
Thank you. Bruce, what recommendation would you make to the superintendent?
Essentially the same. There is a process. So whenever somebody brings a complaint about a book or reading material, or it could even be curriculum, there is a process to follow, starting with the principal. In this case, we're talking about a book that may or may not have been appropriate for the age level. North Attleboro, I believe that was an elementary level. As you get into middle school and high school, you get into more broader topics. So if something is inappropriate, there is a process for addressing that, for a review, and ensuring that the concerns are addressed and mitigated.
Thank you. Final question. This is flying by. King Philip is considered one of the top high schools in the Hockomock League. Earlier this year, the football team won the school's 3rd Super Bowl in 6 tries. How do you make sure KP achieves the same level of academic achievement with the same type of publicity? And Bruce, you are the first to answer this one.
So King Philip is actually world-class high school across the board. It's not just football, it's DECA, it's many different clubs, many different sports, as well as our academics. So those are some of the things we want to continue to foster as we develop our strategic plan and as we create our budget to enable the best education possible for everybody. We're also trying to form different things for those who may not play a sport or may not be in a club, to give them opportunities to be part of the community and be included and to be heard. So there are many different things that we're trying to do to ensure that we remain a top level high school in the USA, not just Massachusetts.
Thank you. And Chris, same question. How do you make sure KP achieves the same level of academic achievement with the same type of publicity?
So I would say one of the key pieces to the program in the high school is the strong honors program and the AP offerings that they have. Those programs really set students up very well for going off to college. That's a good prep classes. And I would say that the DECA program is another one that gives, that one gets a lot of publicity locally, I would say. And you get your students out there, they travel, and it's a great opportunity to develop a business plan, present a business plan, and our students are top performers in that program, across the country. So I think that brings some recognition to KP on the academic side. That brings a lot of value to the school.
Thank you. Important to note that did not repeat any of the questions that I asked during the one-on-one interview. So if you're wondering, that's it for questions. There are many more questions as part of the one-on-one interviews I had with these two gentlemen. And those interviews will run through election night on our Plainville channel, Comcast Channel 8, as well as this candidates forum will run repeatedly. And if you miss it on our Plainville channel or you do not have cable TV, go to northtv.net, click on the Plainville channel logo, then click on election specials, and you will see both this candidates forum and the one-on-one interviews. Time for our closing statements, and once again, as part of the coin flip, the first closing statement will be delivered by Chris Brenneis. Chris, you have up to 3 minutes.
All right. So I just want to say that I'd love the opportunity to be on the KP school committee, work with Dr. Gillet, the school committee, to take it to the next level. I do bring experience working on a school committee, from the Plainville side for 3 years. I also in parallel served on the KP school committee for 2 years, so I have some experience there as well. I do have a pretty strong background on the management side. I'm senior director now for about 8 years where I am. So working on operating budgets, capital expenditures, and creating those long-term plans is something that I do on a day-to-day basis. So I bring that. I would bring that to KP. I'd love the challenge, and I'd be happy to be part of the community. Thanks.
Thank you, Chris. Best of luck. Bruce, you also have 3 minutes.
Thank you. So continuing on the King Philip School Committee is something I definitely would like to do. My daughter is actually at Dean College for early childhood education, so she's going to be a teacher and continue in the education. My son, as I said, is a sophomore at Charlotte County, so I don't have any in KP at the moment, although they both went through KP, Connor through middle school. There are a lot of good initiatives that have been started that we want to continue, others that we will take to the next level. Financing is going to be a challenge for the next few years, as it always is, especially considering the state contribution keeps reducing, which means the 3 towns have to pick up that slack. So getting the most bang for the buck is something that I am passionate about, to make sure that we educate our children the highest quality education for the lowest amount possible. We've had a pretty tough time through COVID. We're still recovering from that, so that has to be kept in mind as well. Regardless of who you vote for, whether it's for me or for Chris, Plainville representation for the next 3 years. You can't go wrong, is my feeling. So April 1st, make your choice, either vote for me or vote for Chris. I think good things are going to continue happening at King Philip.
Bruce, best of luck.
Thank you.
As I mentioned earlier, polls will open at 7 a.m. on Monday, April 1st. They will close at 8 p.m. Everyone will vote in the Public Safety Building behind Town Hall, the entrance right between Town Hall and the Public Library on South Street. North TV will have live election results beginning at 8:15 on our Plainville channel. We'll also stream live at plainville.northtv.net. I want to thank our director, Chris Miller, our host, Ron Lagasse out in the hall, and our timer, Jared Ware. On behalf of all of us here at North TV, we'll see you again on the night of April 1st.